begin here in Kenya, and students of Masinda Muliro University took to the streets of Kakamega to demonstrate over the death of one of their own. Now, according to the students, Abigail Chesang, a third-year student, died on Monday of alleged negligence by the staff of the Kakamega County Referral Hospital, while Chesang had last week delivered a boy at the same hospital through cesarean section, but later developed complications. According to her relatives, before her death, she had to wait for 12 hours to get treatment and was only given painkillers as she breastfed her week-old infant. Now, her death follows another incident a fortnight ago when Elizabeth Akala died as she waited for assistance but was allegedly left unattended by nurses who were completing their shift. The Kakamega County government has since assigned a committee to investigate the matter.
In the labor ward claimed that his shift was over and the students should wait for another shift. The reason why we are here is because this is not the first time this incident is occurring to our own comrade.
Well, that's what took place at the Masinda Muliro University earlier today. We want to link up with our reporter Dorcas, who is in Kakamega and has been following the developments there. Dorcas, if you can hear me, maybe you can just bring us up to speed with what's happening right now. We seem to have a problem connecting to Dorcas, but we'll try and get her during the bulletin. But moving on to another developing story, and Amnesty International is calling on states to reject a South African proposal that could hit at the heart of the ability of the International Criminal Court to tackle breaches of international law. Now, the human rights group urged members of the Assembly of State Parties to the Rome Statute to take concrete measures to strengthen its ability to deliver justice to victims of international crimes. The 14th session of the ASP of the ICC opened in The Hague yesterday when the proposals by the governments of Kenya and South Africa were adopted. Kenya and South Africa are attempting to open debate on the use of prior recorded testimony, the duty to arrest and surrender as sitting head of state. South Africa has been at odds with the ICC since it ignored a High Court ruling to carry out an ICC warrant of arrest of Sudanese President Omar al-Bashir, who is wanted for war crimes. Its government has also indicated that it may withdraw from the court. The trial chamber judges have granted the prosecution's request to use its evidence, the prior recorded testimony of 5 witnesses' statements in the William Ruto and journalist Joshua Arap cases. Now, Gatundu, South Member of Parliament in Moses, Korea, is not keeping quiet about his opinion of the ICC. Well, he spoke to our reporter Fred Muturi in Kisii. Take a look.
South MP was in Bomachoge in Kisii County for a fundraising, and with the ICC debate taking center stage, he did not hesitate to take a swipe at the Hague-based court.
Na maneno ya ICC inaingiliana wapi? Na hiyo ilikuwa mieleka ya kisiasa.
He reiterated that Kenya is ready to pull out of the ICC if it persists with the case against the DP and journalist Joshua Arap Sang.
Na ndio tunauliza huko katika Assembly of State Parties, tuude kamati ya watu 5 wakuje waangalie vile mashahidi walipatikana. Mimi nilikuwa mstari ya kwanza kutoa ile mashahidi ya Kriegler na Waki. Sasa Okampo aulizwe, je, inaweza kuwa wale mashahidi ya kulia ya Waki na Kriegler ndio ulichukua? Yeye ajibu.
His host, Borabu MP Joel Onyanja, asked the ICC to leave Kenyans alone.
Ulikuwa wakati mbaya, wakati watu walikuwa wanataka to outdo each other. Every section ilikuwa inasema huyu ni mbaya, na hii nyingine inaona mwingine kama ni mbaya. And so many things happened, including fixing other people for things they did not do.
It is quite clear that regardless of what comes out of the Assembly of State Parties at the ICC debate will continue dominating the country as long as the case against William Ruto and journalist Joshua Arap Sang is still on. Rashid Ronald, KTN News, Bomachoge, Kisii County.
Now, residents of Makueni are the latest victims of the ongoing heavy rains that are being experienced in parts of the country. Rains that have been pounding the area since Tuesday night have left several homes submerged and property of Amin Valley washed away.
In Masaini village in the Mali town, Makueni County, Milka Kanini is still coming to terms with the wrath of Mother Nature. Kanini was greeted by a rude shock when she came back to the place she called home. All this caused by rain she says she has never experienced.
Nilipata nyumba yangu imetumbukia na kila kitu. Nilikuwa zile nguo ziko mlini ndio zilikuwa zimebaki, sikuwa na kitu naweza jisaidia nayo usiku.
Residents here are now urging the national government and county government of Makueni to intervene and ensure the residents get support. Many here fear that the situation will only get worse if the government drags its feet in response. Away in Narok, and heavy rains interrupted transport along the Maimai-Narok highway for more than 3 hours on Wednesday evening after water swept away sections of the road. The rains, which started around 4 p.m. also submerged many market stalls and kiosks, forcing traders out of their businesses near the main bus terminal. Despite the renovations on the drainage systems, it seems a lot more needs to be done to effectively deal with the rainwater. Lord Mayabi, KTN News.
In Garissa, farmers are accusing the national and county governments of disregarding their plight as the El Nino rains continue to destroy their crops. The farmers say their cries for help have gone unheeded. Families have been displaced and their farms submerged in water.
Farmers from Garissa have accused the national and county government of not doing enough to address the plight as the El Nino rains continue destroying their crops. They took issue with the manner in which the government had remained tight-lipped despite the farm produce rotting in farms while others had been completely destroyed by the floods.
Hii maji lazima inakuja na ugonjwa. Wakulima wafanyakazi kila siku wanaingia ndani ya maji vile mliona. Na wanajaribu kutoa hiyo chakula. Na lazima hiyo maji iko na disease.
Speaking at her Nasib farm, Habiba Ali says that the government had abandoned them in the hour of need, leaving them helpless with no one else to approach.
Chakula inamea kwa shamba, watu naumia. Ndio hii ingine iko chini, ingine imeharibika. Watu nakosa kupata. Kuna watu maskini walikuwa wanategemea hiyo shamba. Sasa shamba ziko hapo. Sasa hii imefirikwa, wanashindwa ile njia wataipata kitu ama ile usaidizi watapata kutoka wapi.
Farming is the main source of livelihood for Garissa residents. Livestock isn't so popular here. Farmers here grow watermelon, pawpaw and vegetables, but the latest heavy rains are making this too much of a burden.
Sisi tunapata hasara kubwa sana. Na ile mali yote maharibika. Ndizi, bye mehebe kila kitu hata vitu yote yameenda na serikali hajua sisi. Na sisi liko shida sana. Angalia sisi hata serikali ya kaunti.
Mimi niko na shida kubwa. Sisi liko shida kubwa sana watu ya shamba yote.
Residents who have been displaced from their homes as a result of flash floods are now appealing for intervention by the county government. Zinzi Kibiku, KTN News.
Now, the El Nino phenomenon, which sparks global climate extremes, is this year the worst in more than 15 years, according to the UN Weather Agency. The agency is warning that the phenomenon is already causing severe droughts and flooding. Muslim leaders and a section of the civil society form part of a panel discussion on the radicalization of the youth. Well, this is part of a series of activities organized to mark the Somali Cultural Week. Well, let's bring in our reporter Trix Ingado, who is covering the event at the National Museums of Kenya. Trix, thank you very much for joining us. Maybe you can just give us an update of the discussions that took place this morning.
Yes, Betty, I'm coming to you live from the Museum Hill at the city center, and this is part of the discussion that is going on today. We have, they have established that there is a disconnect between the way the government is dealing with the issue of radicalization, especially with regard to the Somali community, and what the Somali community feels needs to be done in order to erase radicalization of the youth. So part of the issues that have been discussed is the use of force by the government, kidnappings, and other means that are seen to be harsh, and not dealing with the grassroots level of issues that need to be dealt with, such as unemployment among the youth, and also things such as the increased marginalization of the Somali community, especially in the northern part of the country. Also, they want the dissociation of the Islam religion with radicals, most of the panelists, and also the members of the members of the panel that are conducting the discussion feel that the radicalization is being directly linked to Islam, which is not fair in their eyes, because it's only a section of the community that is conducting the radical activities and terrorist-related activities. So this is just part of the discussion that is going on. Also, they feel that the media has a key role to play in doing away with the perception that the Somali community is a radicalized community as a whole, instead of just instead of just saying that the Somali the suspects are actually the perpetrators of the act, instead of the whole entire community.
Right. Thank you very much, Trix, for that report. Of course, we'll have a comprehensive package on that story. That, of course, is very important, especially at a time that we're talking about many young people getting radicalized. Now, the first North Rift Joint Investment Conference continues in Eldoret town, as governors from 8 counties say they will unlock the region's economic potential for quick development. The conference runs until Saturday. 8 counties will jointly showcase opportunities for investment in the bloc. Well, these are Uasin Gishu, Nandi, Trans-Nzoia, Elgeyo Marakwet, West Pokot, Turkana, Baringo, and Samburu. Well, we cross over now to Eldoret Sports Club, the venue of this key event, to just listen to the events taking place there.
Finally, let me just congratulate the county governments again and say that, as Chinua Achebe said, if you want to walk fast, walk alone. But if you want to walk far, walk together. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Next we'll have Dr. Ben Shumo. Dr. Ben Shumo is the CEO of Kenya Power. Sir, we have investors who perhaps are interested in Baringo and West Pokot counties, counties that have expressed opportunity in the field of energy. Please address that.
Thank you very much. I want to, first and foremost, I want to appreciate and join hands with those who have thanked and congratulated the 8 governors for coming together to create this for having come together to form this particular powerful economic bloc. This is one opportunity that has had its time with us. In other words, this is an idea whose time has come. A very irresistible idea. I want to focus my attention to energy. And I want to address this particular aspect on specific terms. One, for investors within the country that are looking forward to investing in this part of the world, I want to assure them that Kenya Power and Lighting Company Limited guarantees you affordable power for your investments. As we speak today, and for those who are already in business, you are aware that the cost of power has come down for both industry and domestic consumers at an average of about 15% for domestics and about 20% for industrialists. Courtesy of cheaper sources that have been exploited, more particularly geothermal energy, that has displaced expensive power from thermal sources. So much are going on as we speak today in terms of generating from those cheaper sources. And there's huge potential around these blocks, that those resources are available at closer quarters, and therefore continued reduction in the cost of energy is guaranteed to support your competitiveness locally and internationally. For those who are coming over to Kenya, it is important to know that as we speak today, Kenya stands proud among the 52 African countries as number 13 in terms of installed capacity. Over 60% of the capacity is green energy. And therefore, we join the race among those who are leading in renewable energy sources. And I want to let them know that, coupled with the opportunities that we have talked about, potential in terms of human resources, potential in terms of youth, potential in terms of land, and of course, infrastructure, banking institutions, etc. This is a destination that you need to be looking at as you move forward. Coming back to those who are already here, and more particularly counties, it is important to note that even as we form this particular block, we are addressing both local and international investors. And they will be local in most of the cases. Most of the investors will eventually be local investors. And what we are asking ourselves, and what we must ask ourselves, is this: that what will make an investor already who has invested in Nakuru, who has done it in Kisumu, who is doing it in Machakos, who is doing it in Nairobi, to want to come here, or to want to go to Iten, for example, or to invest in any of the headquarters of these particular eight counties. There must be something that is going to be different, more attractive as compared to where they are at the moment. And I want to pick one case. If you look at Nairobi as we speak today, the level of security has improved because of the level of lighting in the streets of Nairobi. About 2 weeks ago, when we met with the KEPSA and Association of Manufacturers, the governor for Nairobi, Honorable Kidero, told the meeting that the previous evening, the number of crimes reported in Nairobi were only 2, as opposed to the previous record of close to 300 crimes reported every night. And so if we are talking about attracting other investors, it's important to recognize that lighting our space is important, even as we empower them. And so I want to call upon the county leadership to appreciate that no investor would want to bring their money to a dark space. Let us invest in street lighting, even as it power the rest of the economy. We also must highlight this point that as we empower industrialists, it's important to recognize that there lies an opportunity among communities. For a very long time, we have not been able to connect as many people as possible within the counties and within the country. In fact, as a matter of record, between 1922 when KTN was established and 2013 March, we connected only 2 million Kenyans. In the last 2 years, we have been able to connect 2.2 million Kenyans. And that tells you the speed with which we are moving. And we now have 4.2 million households connected to the economy, or rather, this particular, to the network. And what that does, investors, is that we begin to empower our own communities. We begin to have our children access the internet while at home. We begin to change their mindset as they compare themselves among other communities around the world. And so the message I come with is powering our communities so that they can be able to move forward with the rest of the world. Thank you very much.
Asante sana, sir. We totally appreciate that. Very informative contribution. Next, I can spot Mr. David Lagat. Mr. David Lagat is the chairman, DL Koisagat and Eldoret team. He is also a key player in the tea industry. Sir, in that industry, of course, you've had interactions with farmers and across also the value chain up to value addition. Talk to us about agribusiness in the region, quote unquote, also value addition, and what that means to opportunities here.
Thank you very much. Our chief guest, Speaker for the Senate, Governors, mine is to thank you all for the contribution you've done in developing this new idea of cooperating together. It's a very noble idea because we are forming a very strong force of economy. Our country needs players in the industry who are very strong, and they only come in because if you are going to develop clear objectives in terms of policy as a counties, people will be attracted to come for investment. If you are going to do very clear policies, people are going to come for the investments. I would like to say that this forum mainly is focused into creating employment through the investments, creating markets for our produce. I want to emphasize on agriculture. Our country is very strong in agriculture, and we need to focus on agriculture as a county because this is the region where big agriculture is being done. I want to say that with this noble idea, we will form a very strong market for our crops. Imagine the governors who are present here visiting Tesco in London and meeting the MD of Tesco and telling the MD of Tesco, please, we want to supply our cheese to your supermarket. We want to supply our tea to your supermarket. Definitely they will give you audience. So we are very grateful that this thing will get us to a very high height in terms of development. I want also to say, in terms of this forum, I must thank the devolution because what has happened is it created opportunities on the regions where everything was concentrated in Nairobi. But currently, right now, real estate in the counties is growing very fast. And that is our focus as a group of companies. We are seriously developing, decongesting the towns. And I want to say, we are focused in terms of developing new cities. I was suggesting that the new cities be developed and be called the commercial cities. Then we have the traditional cities being administrative cities. Because if we have a planned city, we will have industries in a sector, we will have hotels in a different place, so that we have an organized in terms of congestion, we reduce. It's not only infrastructure. Because if we say we focus on infrastructure, the land within the towns are very small. But if we focus in developing cities within the cities, we are decongesting the
Right, that of course is the first North-West Joint Investment Conference that of course continues in Eldoret town as governors from 8 counties say they will unlock the region's potential for quick development. Now this particular conference will run up until Saturday and 8 counties will join to basically showcase opportunities for investment in that regional economic bloc. We'll be keeping a close eye on what happens there, of course the promises or the issues that those governors of those 8 counties will be raising in that conference, together with CEOs from across different companies like you saw Benchum of the Kenya Power CEO just addressing the conference. Now, let's take a look at other stories that are also making headlines. And the Kenya National Union of Teachers has been held up in a crisis meeting for the better part of the day to discuss a proposal made to the union by the head of state, President Uhuru Kenyatta, to have them review a new salary structure with the Teachers Service Commission. Now, the meeting comes on the backdrop of claims of a divided knot after the Union Secretary General Wilson Sossion snubbed the meeting, which he claimed he was unaware of. The union's chair, Mudson Zili, who was present during the State House meeting, however, disagreed, insisting that Sossion ignored summons issued to him. The impending rift between the union and whether or not NAT will agree to a new collective bargaining agreement with TSC, as directed by President Uhuru Kenyatta last week, is expected to heavily weigh on the meeting, with union officials expected to address the media later this afternoon. A section of Jubilee allied politicians, led by Tiati lawmaker Azman Kamama, have launched Boresha Katiba initiative to counter the opposition and civil society initiative to change the constitution through Okoa Kenya. Now the MPs say they will form a bipartisan select committee to go around the country to gather views from Kenyans on the measures that must be instituted to perfect the constitution.
And as we are talking about adhabu ya kifo for those who sabotage the national economy and who engage in corruption, capital offense. If done so, like it happens, those countries have come to brave Africa. In their own homes, they don't do what they do to Africans. They think Africans are there to be subjected to handouts, to small kitu kidogo, in order to procure business and to compromise state officials and bureaucrats. But in their own countries, they shoot anybody involved in corruption. And that's why we are proposing that Chapter 6 of the Constitution on leadership integrity be reviewed radically to provide that crimes relating to economic sabotage and drug trafficking be capital offenses.
And we have proposed on many occasions that we need changes in this constitution. So it's not an afterthought. Again, on the issue of these secretariats, we are all patriotic Kenyans. There's nothing in terms of, there are no personal benefits to this. We are doing it for posterity, and in the meantime, of course, I'm the interim chair, assisted by Conchella. Then we have Honorable Kabando and Letumanda. We will tell you later what the roles of each and every person.
Kassim Majaliwa is the new Prime Minister for the Republic of Tanzania. Kassim's name was presented to Parliament Thursday morning by President John Pombe Magufuli's personal. The handwritten letter ends months of speculation since the ruling party, CCM, clinched the presidency in the country's most hotly contested election. Kassim is a teacher by profession and is on his second term as MP. He is the immediate former Deputy Minister for State and will be instrumental in assisting President Magufuli in delivering the CCM campaign pledges.
Sikuwahi kushuhudia hiki kitu. Unazungumziaje? Kwa kweli vile kama ambavyo unasema imekuwa ni jambo la kihistoria. Kumbuka hii ni awamu ya kihistoria, tutakuwa na waziri mkuu mpya hivi punde. Awamu ya 5 rais mpya na staili zake zote ni mpya. Kama ambavyo umeshuhudia, jina limekuja moja kwa moja kutoka Ikulu.
Ameniandikia Job Ndugai, Mheshimiwa Spika, kwa kifupi kabisa kwamba yeye mwenyewe Mheshimiwa John Pombe Magufuli nafasi yake kama rais wa Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania amemteua mbunge wa Ruangwa Mheshimiwa Kassim Majaliwa kuwa ndio waziri mkuu wa Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania.
African heads of state prepare to join Chinese President Xi Jinping in South Africa for the 6th Ministerial Conference of the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation. Well, this comes as a group of respected Chinese and African business and policy leaders are appealing for wildlife and environmental issues to be included on the diplomatic agenda of the upcoming summit.
Participating in a China-Africa dialogue series facilitated by the African Wildlife Foundation and the Aspen Institute. The effort aims to move leaders in government, civil society and private industry toward actively promoting investments and operations in Africa that are sustainable and include protection of Africa's wildlife and wildlands. The dialogue series first brought together African thought leaders in Nairobi and Kigali in 2014 to address Africa's natural resource crisis in the wake of rapid economic development. A parallel group of Chinese private and public sector leaders was convened in Beijing and Tianjin in 2014, followed by an official dialogue in Beijing in 2015 to help establish a set of recommendations for African-Chinese cooperation around challenges of wildlife and wildlands protection. Key outcomes of the dialogue series included a formal recommendation which was supported by former Presidents Festus Mogae of Botswana and Benjamin Mkapa of Tanzania, promoting the protection of Africa's wildlife and wildlands as a priority in the continent's development agenda. There was also a proposal to include wildlife on the diplomatic agenda, which was submitted directly to South Africa's Departments of Environmental Affairs and Tourism. The China-Africa Dialogue Series will host a final roundtable dialogue and safari from November 30th to December 3rd at Kruger National Park, which has become a hotspot for rhino and elephant poaching. In addition to public and private sector leaders from China and Africa, participants will include African wildlife experts and VIP cultural envoys. Ellen Wanjiru, KTN News.
French experts are working to establish whether the suspected ringleader of the Paris attacks was among those killed in a police raid on a flat yesterday. Now, police said Abdelhamid Aboud was the target when officers stormed the flat in the Paris suburb of Saint Denis. The Paris prosecutor said neither he nor suspect Salah Abdesalam were among 8 people arrested, but at least 2 bodies had still to be identified. Meanwhile, French MPs are due to vote on an extending of a state emergency. Militant group Islamic State, which controls parts of Syria and Iraq, has said it was behind the attacks last Friday when gunmen and suicide bombers killed 129 people and injured hundreds. The globe, and Argentina's Kirchner dynasty prepares to pass the torch after 12 years of rule. Voters take stock of the 2 candidates vying to become the country's new leader.
On Sunday, Argentines will elect a new leader in the country's first ever presidential runoff. Ruling party candidate Daniel Scioli was the front runner for much of the campaign, with the support of the popular outgoing president Cristina Kirchner. But opposition leader Mauricio Macri had an unexpectedly strong showing in the first round of the election. Business favorite Macri has since surged ahead in opinion polls, forcing his opponent to distance himself from some of Kirchner's economic stances, like her refusal to negotiate with U.S. hedge funds over bond payments ordered by a U.S. court.
He has lost the focus of his campaign. If one listens to Scioli now, he recognizes there is inflation. He recognizes there are problems with poverty. He recognizes that we have to negotiate with the hedge funds, the vulture funds, to go back to having access to funding.
Macri made a name for himself as chairman of the popular Boca Juniors football team before becoming mayor of Buenos Aires in 2007. Throughout his campaign, he vowed to push pro-market reforms and to end currency controls, thereby attacking some of the current president's hallmark leftist policies.
The problem in Argentina isn't a lack of dollars. Argentines have a lot of dollars, but they don't trust the government. With our government, people will start trusting again. Why? Because we will tell the truth. We will lower inflation, we will have a team of people who will set out clear game rules, and will stick to them.
Just like Macri, Scioli is married to a model-turned-fashion entrepreneur and is a sports fanatic. The governor of Buenos Aires province, who also served as vice president under Cristina Kirchner's late husband Nestor, was world champion of powerboating and lost his right arm in an accident. Today, he plays indoor soccer. But in stark contrast with Macri, Scioli stands for continuity rather than change.
Argentines don't want to take one step back. They don't want to start all over again. They don't want adjustment, debt, cuts. They don't want the variables of economic expansion to depend on old recipes from the past. And based on these achievements, they want to continue to go forward. The best is yet to come, going in this direction.
The next president will inherit Latin America's third largest economy, rich in natural resources, but also saddled with 30% inflation and little growth.
With an electricity grid supplied by hydroelectric dams across rivers from the heart of its numerous volcanoes and from wind and the sun, Costa Rica expects 97% of its energy generation to come from renewable sources this year and ultimately aims to reach 100% renewable energy.
On this sunny beach in Costa Rica, Luis sells ice cream non-stop. His freezer runs continuously, but thanks to these solar panels, he has replaced his old generator and doesn't use any fuel.
We wanted to reduce the noise and pollution from the generator, so we came up with the idea of using solar panels to work thanks to the sun, because there is a lot here. And it works really well. It's perfect.
This type of local initiative is not uncommon in Costa Rica, which is aiming to generate 100% renewable energy. And it's well on its way. Thanks to its rivers, wind, sun, and volcanic heat, this tropical nation expects renewables to make up 97% of its electricity production in 2015. One of the latest sustainable development projects is this hydroelectric power station, the biggest in Central America.
La clave del éxito para que Costa Rica continúe.
Energy storage will be key for Costa Rica to be able to incorporate renewables even more, say, from solar panels and windmills. For now, the best option is by far hydroelectric reservoirs.
Por mucho la mejor opción son los embalses hidroeléctricos.
But while Costa Rican energy is becoming more and more clean, the air is not. Because of dilapidated cars, buses, and traffic jams, pollution from transportation causes more than half of the country's CO2 emissions. To address the issue, one lawmaker recently presented a bill to encourage ownership of zero-emission vehicles. The goal is to reduce or remove the taxes so people can buy electric vehicles. There is also the possibility for the public banking system to offer credits to encourage people to buy these cars, and other non-financial incentives. Costa Rica got the world's attention at the beginning of the year by using 100% renewable electricity for 75 days. And with people like Luis and his ice cream truck gathering their own energy, the nation is on a fast track to a greener future.
All Blacks captain Richie McCaw has announced his retirement from rugby after a record-breaking career. McCaw, who played a world record 148 tests, led all the Blacks to 2 World Cup final victories, including last month's triumph against Australia. The news came 24 hours after the death of iconic All Black winger Jonah Lomu.
Retired from rugby after leading New Zealand to their second successive World Cup triumph. McCaw became the first man to lift the Red Ellis Cup twice when the All Blacks beat Australia in the final last month. McCaw became the world's most capped player earlier this year when he surpassed the record of 141 test appearances held by retired Island captain Brian O'Driscoll. The 34-year-old flanker played a world record 148 test matches, 131 of them wins. McCaw is also a 3-time winner of the World Player of the Year award.
I guess I made no secret at the start of this year that this day was going to be probable, that this year would be my last, but deep down I suppose I didn't want to shut the door totally because I was, for probably 2 reasons, but I didn't want to make it final because I was worried that the emotion might get to me in a World Cup year. I might start thinking about last this, last that, and maybe whether I did all the things that I needed to do to play my best. So I leave that door, even if it was only just creaked open a little bit, it didn't feel final until perhaps right now. So that was one thing, and I knew with the World Cup there's no in-betweens coming home. I was either going to be extremely happy or extremely disappointed, and I had it gone the way of us getting beaten, I wanted to make sure I did it right as the All Black captain, but I fronted as you would expect and not sort of already have a foot out the door. So I wanted to make sure that was right, and if it went the other way, I wanted to enjoy being still an All Black and make it about the team, not about individuals, and I guess that's the way it's happened, and it's given me time to just reflect on making sure that I had made the right decision, and the last 2 weeks has given me a chance to reflect a bit, and I guess I sit here today with no regrets about what I've done over the years as a rugby player. That last game, to have that as the lasting memory of your last time on the pitch, pretty satisfying. And the other thing I'm proud of is I actually played, I think, some of the best rugby in the last couple of weeks. So to finish on that note, I think it's pretty good. And the last thing I ever wanted to do was limp to the end, both in form and as your body holding together. And sitting here today, probably the body would say you could still play, but so that means that I think I've got the timing right.
La Liga giants Real Madrid and Barcelona prepare to meet in the first El Clasico of the season on Saturday in what is expected to be a mouth-watering clash. Barcelona star Lionel Messi, who has been sidelined by an injury since September, is expected to return in action for the fixture, but his counterpart Luis Suarez says that he should not be rushed, as that might lead to another setbacks.
Football centers around one match. Real Madrid entertained Barcelona in the first Clasico of the season. The Spanish heavyweights sit pretty at the summit of the table despite the season in its infancy. Despite their healthy positions, Barcelona star Luis Suarez insists that it's too early for the clash to be considered a title decider. I don't think the league will be decided even if we draw in Madrid. It is still very early to say who will win the league. This is a very long process, and it is also very difficult to win the league, even though some people think it is an easy task. We also have Atletico Madrid, and they will also be fighting to win the title until the very end. Doubts remain over the fitness of Barcelona talisman Lionel Messi. The Argentina international has been out of action since September with a knee injury, but returned to training this week. That will be the decision of the coach and the medical staff based on how he feels. He has been training with us during the past few days and feels good. But it all depends on the time of recovery, because this is a lesson that if not properly treated, it could lead to other further injuries in the future. Suarez and strike partner Neymar, however, have been in fine form in the absence of Messi. They have accounted for 20 of Barca's 23 goals since losing the Argentine to injury. Neymar is La Liga's leading scorer with 11 goals, 2 more than Suarez.
Y bueno, la convivencia la verdad que cada día va mejor.
It gets better day by day, not only because we understand each other on the pitch, but also because of outside we have a good relationship, and neither of us wants to feel above the other or start a competition between the two of us, because we know it won't be good for the team. Whenever Neymar scores 2, 3 or even 4 goals during Leo Messi's absence, I enjoy it very much. We're both conscious that Leo is the best player in the world, and we will always understand that.
Barca head into the first Clasico of the season on the back of a 4-match winning run in La Liga. They are 3 points clear of Real at the top of the standings, but lost 3-1 at the Bernabeu last season.
Right, so that's it for this edition of KTN Newsdesk. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Betty Okari, and I'm going to be coming up shortly with the latest news updates. Stay with us on KTN Newsdesk, and of course KTN News Traffic is coming up shortly.